The Employee Retention Credit from the IRS is the last major COVID relief program. Claim up to $26,000 for each employee you had on payroll. This is Marty Stewart with Disaster Loan Advisors. The IRS tax refund is newfound money for your business. Let us help you navigate the ERC program with flexible options and working together. You can relax and have peace of mind that you're in good hands. Stay safe, stay compliant, and keep more of your refund. Take the next step and schedule a free ERC consultation call with us today.
A guide to understand the Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheet 2021. The Employee Retention Credit is more accessible to small business owners as well as recovery startup businesses who are struggling financially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheet 2021 can help businesses understand the impact of employee retention on their tax liabilities. Businesses can use Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheets to make their job easier. On pages 22 and 23 of the IRS Form 941 instructions, there is a spreadsheet for calculation of the ERC for 2021 that can be used to compute the ERC amount once wage totals for the quarter have been determined. What exactly is the Employee Retention Credit? The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit meant to encourage businesses to pay their people on the payroll and minimize coronavirus's pandemic effect. The wages per employee and refundable credit for 2020 and 2021 of qualified business owners are calculated as follows as per the Paycheck Protection Program. For 2020, the tax incentive is equivalent to eligible individuals' eligible income in a month for qualified health plan expenses and health insurance costs, up to $5,000 per worker, as well as a refundable payroll tax credit. The tax incentive for 2021 is comparable to 70% of qualified salaries paid to employees by eligible businesses as credit per employee for business operations in the third quarter, with a monthly ceiling of $7,000 or $28,000 annually for eligible businesses. How to calculate the Employee Retention Credit. For calculating the Employee Retention Credit, you should follow the below steps. Confirm whether you'll have employees in 2020 or 2021. If you did not employ somebody in 2020 or 2021, you are not eligible for an employment tax return for the ERC as per eligibility requirements. You could still be able to get paid time off. Verify if you had a qualified finality. If your company was entirely or partially closed down as a result of COVID-19 during a quarter in 2020 through 2021, then you may be eligible for ERC. Contrast 2019 earnings to the previous time frame. The calculator would ask you to analyze business earnings in 2020 or 2021 to almost the same calendar quarter in 2019. This will assist you in determining whether you are qualified for the ERC. Your revenue must have declined by much more than 20% in the previous quarter for quarters in 2021. If you're certain, the tool can assist you in calculating a value loan forgiveness and wages eligible. For qualified salary and health plan expenditures paid during the specified number of days, fill in the information. Then, for the quarter in which you experienced a qualifying reduction in gross sales, enter eligible salaries paid to all personnel during the time of your whole or partial suspension of operations. COVID-19 was banned from working from March 13th and June 30th, 2020. Qualified earnings include salary and health plan expenses earned during your financial hardship. Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheet 2021. It's that season of the year when you have to fill out your Form 941 for the current quarter. There are still no significant changes to Form 941 next quarter. There is one key modification to be aware of as given below. Companies use a new worksheet to compute the refundable and non-refundable portions of the Employee Retention Credit in the third and fourth quarters of 2021. Employers are no longer required to complete Form 941 Worksheet 2. Worksheet 2 is definitely from the previous quarter. Worksheet 4 has the same structure as Worksheet 2, except it's for calculating the ERC on eligible salaries earned after June 30th, 2021. Employers must utilize Worksheet 4 this quarter and next quarter, otherwise they will have inaccurate numbers on some lines of Form 941. Employers requesting credit for sick as well as family leave payments for the third quarter must complete Worksheet 3 before moving on to this worksheet. Employers who have completed Worksheet 3 can, for example, add the cost from Worksheet 3, Phase 1, Column F on Column 1A of Worksheet 4, skip the remainder, and proceed to Step 2. Worksheet 4, Step 1 assists employers in determining their Medicare tax share. Step 2 then assists them in determining the Employee Retention Credit. Worksheet 4, most essential lines are Line 2H, amount of employee retention credit that is not refundable. Line 2I, the fraction of the employee retention credit that is refundable. On your Form 941, you must include both of these amounts. The adoption of the Form 941 worksheets has proved difficult for many companies. Employee Retention Credit 2021 qualifications. To be regarded as an eligible business for the ERC, your company must be regarded as a qualified employer. There are two methods to qualify, although the requirements shift from 2020 to 2021. In 2020, you can qualify by demonstrating that your sales decreased by more than 50% in any calendar quarter compared with the same period in 2019. Alternatively, you may have been shut down completely or partially as a result of a compulsory order from a national, state, or municipal gov body rather than for volunteer reasons. You may be eligible for the Employee Retention Credit in 2021 if you can demonstrate a 20% decline in revenue in any calendar quarter compared to the same quarter in 2019. The alternate qualifying approach is the same as in 2020, and it is based on whether you were shut down completely or partially due to a necessary order from a federal, state, or municipal government body rather than for voluntary reasons. Employee Retention Credit example. In the year 2021, let's say you run your dental office as an S company. You own the entire company. Your 3 workers are not related to you. This perk is tax-free for the employees. For the entire first quarter of 2021, your state has COVID-19 business limitations in effect. However, because your dental practice is a necessary business, it was not harmed by the governmental decree. Step 1. Determine your eligibility. To begin, establish if your first quarter qualifies for the Employee Retention Credit by fulfilling any of the following criteria. Fully or partially suspended business. Loss of revenue. Step 2. Wages that are qualified. An eligible business can credit up to $10,000 in qualifying salaries per employee for each quarter in 2021. Step 3. Determine the credit amount. The credit rate for the quarters of 2021 is 70%. For the first quarter of 2021, your ERC is $28,000 or 70% of $40,000. Step 4. Making a credit claim. Because your company had 500 or fewer full-time workers in 2019, you must pick one of the choices to claim the credit for the 2021 quarters. Step 5. The impact of tax returns. Taxable earnings. You cannot deduct earnings equivalent to the ERC. As a result of the credit, your net business income increased by $28,000 in the tax year 2021. What is the ERC deadline? The deadline for the Employee Retention Tax Credit was set for the end of 2021. You don't want to face the risk of the deadlines being extended until 2022 again, so take advantage of the credit now. It's impossible to predict which assistance initiatives will continue and which will end. You must have likewise gone through a complete or partial shutdown due to government directives. The ERC deadline was set for December 31, 2021, although recovery startup businesses and firms can claim it for up to 3 years after submitting their eligible employer return. Other FAQs on a guide to understand the Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheet 2021. Is there a worksheet for the Employee Retention Credit? Companies must use a new worksheet to calculate the refunded and non-refundable portions of the Employee Retention Credit in the final 3 months of 2021. Employers no longer need the Form 941 Worksheet 2. Can I claim the Employee Retention Credit in 2021? The IRS issued Notice 2021-49 on August 4, 2021, which gives more information on claiming the Employee Retention Credit for firms who pay eligible wages after June 30, 2021, but before January 1, 2022. The ERC was slated to expire after December 31, 2020. Eligible businesses can claim credit for wages from March 12, 2020 through October 1, 2021, or until the time limit on Form 941 expires. In most cases, these revised employment tax returns are on time by April 15, 2024 for 2020 benefits and April 15, 2025 for 2021 credits. How do I calculate full-time employee retention credit? In 2020, the Employee Retention Credit is half of the qualified employee wages received in a fiscal quarter. The credit is available for wages received after March 12, 2020, but before January 1, 2021. So because the system will send for any employee's qualified income in 2020 is $5,000, the maximum credit for any owner's eligible salaries in 2020 is also $5,000. Conclusion and summary on a guide to understand the Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheet 2021. By understanding how to use the Employee Retention Credit Calculation Spreadsheet, employers can make more informed decisions about how to best retain their employees. A spreadsheet is a valuable tool for organizations that want to keep track of their employee retention credits and ensure that they are getting the most value out of their investment in their workforce. To calculate your credit, you can refer to the IRS Form 941 instructions, pages 22 and 23, which provide the ERC spreadsheet for 2021. The Employee Retention Credit Calculation Worksheet can make the hard work for you.
As you can see, navigating the Employee Retention Credit Program is very complex and confusing to try to figure it out on your own. Even on the IRS ERC FAQ pages, it says, "This page is not current." There have been several years of updates and changes to this IRS tax credit already, including 4 congressional acts and 5 updated guidances from the IRS, totaling over 3,900 pages. Who has time to sift through all that information, let alone decipher some of the confusing language and rulings? In order to stay compliant with current IRS ERC rules and regulations, expert specialized help is highly recommended. Even if your business received an SBA PPP loan, you are still eligible for the ERC credit. If you think you may not qualify, it's worth a conversation to see if your business does. Let us assist you with a complete employee retention credit process, or if you might be stuck on filling out the IRS 941X forms correctly on your own. We are here to help. Stay safe, stay compliant, keep more of your refund. Email us at support@disasterloanadvisors.com or call us toll-free at 877-463-9777 extension 3. Or visit us on the web at www.disasterloanadvisors.com/ERC for complete details on the Employee Retention Credit Program for your business.